Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this week we have Bitcoin conference, and today I believe is industry day. But even with industry day, there's been some big news with Bitcoin. Price of Bitcoin right now is around 109. We hit 110 today, then we're back at 109. So we're going back and forth right now, sideways with the price of Bitcoin. But there's been some extremely bullish news coming on with Bitcoin, and if you haven't been paying attention, I'm here to share some of that news with you today. I think price of Bitcoin is just the beginning. I don't believe we've reached all-time highs. I can see this thing hitting 125 or even higher. But let me share some of that with you. I hold some Bitcoin. I've been preaching for years now to try to get a little allocation of Bitcoin. And right now it's good to see that some of this is coming to fruition. Those who DCA'd and held, right now you're starting to see the fruits of your labor. Things are great right now. So if you hold Bitcoin, want to learn a little bit more about Bitcoin, please subscribe to the channel. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. But let's get into Bitcoin. What is this big news that we heard today? Well, the big news is DJT, which is the current president's company that he's loosely affiliated with, is raising 2.5 million or billion rather to buy Bitcoin. Not million, billion, 2.5 billion. Trump media says, and they announced this today, that this is what's going to happen. So the CEO of the company, Devin Nunes, said Bitcoin is a crown jewel asset. Indirectly, the current president owns 114 million shares of the company, which is why I say that, obviously sitting as a president, he can't have financial interest or directly own this company. So when he does relinquish, he will be back to owning this company. But right now, as far as paperwork goes, he owns it 114 million shares through a revocable trust. So he pretty much, writing was on the wall, he does own the company. So how are they going to raise this money? The deal includes 1.5 billion in common stock and 1 billion in convertible notes, with proceeds earmarked for the purchase of Bitcoin. That is going to be huge, guys. So what do you think is going to happen when other worlds, other countries, they hear that a company associated with the president is buying Bitcoin? Not to mention previous comments that he's made. He was at the last Bitcoin conference, praising Bitcoin, and he has a digital asset division within the government. What do you think other companies, other countries, other states, what are they going to do? And speaking of states, if you haven't been paying attention, states here in the United States are allocating money, a little percentage, up to 5%, into state pension funds directly into Bitcoin. So we had New Hampshire, which was the first. They passed it into law, guys. New Hampshire is now buying Bitcoin. Second is Arizona. Arizona also passed it. They are buying Bitcoin. Next on the list, you see these states in blue. And if I were a betting man, I would say Texas or Florida would probably be the next ones, right? Texas, Florida, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, all these states, West Virginia, Maryland, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, all of them has see if they could pass this and have it enacted into law. Bitcoin is no longer a speculative asset. It is digital gold right now, and we're just seeing everything play out like we thought it would. Probably faster than I even thought it would happen, but it's happening. And that just means that we're holding something very valuable. Keep it close. I wouldn't spend it on Shake Shack. They announced that they also are accepting Bitcoin, and they said one of the big benefits of that is that now they're seeing the processing fees as far as, if you go to a merchant and you use your credit card, the merchant gets charged a fee for that as well. Some people apparently are using Bitcoin to buy shakes and burgers, and because of that, they've seen a 50% drop in their credit card processing fees, which is crazy to me that someone would spend Bitcoin on that. But I digress. Also, industry day for the Bitcoin conference. Just looking at some of the headlines here. 11.5 trillion BlackRock managing director said Bitcoin has much higher upside than gold. So Peter Schiff, I hope you heard that. More upside than gold. Other headlines here, we see Trump's executive director said that Bitcoin is the golden standard. We're not going to sell any Bitcoin that we possibly have in the U.S. government, period. Also, Bitwise CEO, they have a spot ETF, says if wealth managers allocate 1% to Bitcoin, that's hundreds of billions of dollars. So when you and I, just lay people, retail people, see these articles we're reading, keeping up, what do you think people that are trying to preserve their wealth? You know, gold has been solid for years. But what's this new shiny thing, this new Bitcoin thing we keep hearing of? What if all of them, all the millionaires in the US alone, let's say North America, right? Canada, and they decide to put a little bit into Bitcoin? You have all these other companies that are already buying. We'll talk about MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet in Japan. We see states getting into it now. What is going to happen to the price of Bitcoin? That's what we got to keep thinking. We have something that is very, very valuable, that is a hard asset. Also, Jack Dorsey blocks /Square he announced that there's checkout goes live in Vegas, a significant step in making it everyday money. So if you ever go to a restaurant or a merchant, you see the monitor and then you see the Square thing right there in front of it, a symbol of it. They're allowing merchants now, especially small businesses, to accept Bitcoin payments in the Lightning Network. So Square is piloting real-time Bitcoin payments, letting attendees scan and spend crypto for t-shirts, hoodies, and hats at the BTC Inc. pop-up store. The rollout builds on Square's Bitcoin conversions feature and is expected to expand to all eligible merchants by 2026. That is interesting. That's part of having Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin is the first one, but then you're going to get other ones. You know, obviously we have stablecoin regulation coming here in the US, but you'll have other cryptos as well being accepted for payment. Just imagine a world where we're not using fiat anymore, but we can pay in crypto, whether that's XRP, Cardano, whatever the case may be. This is the first step towards that happening. And then also, just another post, Square announces that they will accept Bitcoin Lightning payments at all terminals. Big news. Senator Loomis is a big Bitcoin bull, and she's been pushing for a bill called the Bitcoin Act, and it's going to hit the floor next week. And in that act, she is proposing that the country buy 1 million Bitcoin. Now, it's not going to spend taxpayers' monies to do it, but what they currently have in inventory, confiscated gold or whatever, they can transfer some of that to purchase Bitcoin. So we got to keep an eye on this to see what happens. With all this other bullish news, if this happens, just forget about it. Also, Charles Schwab, which is a big asset management company, have trillions under management, and currently they do not offer crypto trading. But we see, and we've just been notified that may change soon. The CEO said there are a lot of ways clients can get invested in the crypto. Currently, they don't offer it. However, he went on to say that we are going to add spot crypto trading in the next 12 months. We're going to focus initially on Bitcoin and ETH. It'll be on our something platform, and then shortly after Schwab.com and on mobile. So even they recognize crypto is here to stay, specifically Bitcoin, and they want to get in the game and not be left behind. Obviously, they're an asset management company, and they have to do what's best for their people's and their clients' finances. So that is positive. Also, Pakistan allocates 2,000 megawatts of electricity to Bitcoin mining and AI data centers. So Pakistan, another country, they recognize what's going on with Bitcoin, and they want to get on it too. So you have states in the U.S., you have little countries all around the world. The country of Bhutan's been buying Bitcoin, small allocations all the time. El Salvador, has been buying too. And it's just the line to get in some of this Bitcoin, and the amount of people that are just going to be buying this Bitcoin that's not being produced enough. There's not enough of it to go around. It's just going to get longer and crazier, guys. And we're here at the forefront of everything. Also, CoinShares showed that last week, so ending May 23rd, 2.9 billion inflows into Bitcoin. So spot ETFs, hedge funds, you name it, they've been buying a lot. And we all know, as far as this, ETFs go, BlackRock, IBITS ETF is the top dog. But last week alone, 2.9 billion USD in Bitcoin. Huge. Also, Michael Saylor announced this week that MicroStrategy or Strategy B Bitcoin purchased 4,020 Bitcoin. They're not stopping. Last week they purchased 7,390. The week before that, 13,390. So they purchased this week again 4,020 at an average price of 106,237. So they're DCAing. He don't care what the price is. He's just buying and buying and buying. What does that man know that we don't know? Well, for one, he's a millionaire and I'm not. So if it comes to investing and things like that, I would probably follow what he and other smart people are doing. But he's not stopping. Also, if we look at people holding, people, companies, countries, Bitcoin mining companies, everything that hold Bitcoin, you see that ETFs currently hold $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin. Countries globally, 529,000, public companies 751,000, private companies 398,000, Bitcoin mining companies only hold 99,000, and DeFi holds about 166,000. And I don't want to go through all these charts in general, but you can see as far as public companies that own Bitcoin, MicroStrategy currently owns 580,250 Bitcoins. Tesla owns about 11,509. So the next closest company here in the US is Marathon Digital, and they only own 48,000. MicroStrategy owns half a billion Bitcoin, that is. I hold MicroStrategy stock just because I believe it's a good on ramp into getting Bitcoin, especially if you don't have access to Coinbase or anything like that, and you don't want to, deal with knowing your seed phrase and dealing with all of that. MicroStrategy, I think, is a good way to get some exposure into Bitcoin. But he doesn't care what the price is. He's buying and buying and buying. Look at Metaplanet. Metaplanet here in Japan. Just it feels like yesterday they announced that they were adopting the Bitcoin strategy. They're already up to 7,800. But the companies, guys, are just, look down this list. This is BitBo if you want to see for your own reference, your own records. But just look at the numbers. Just companies galore just buying this thing. And there's not enough of it to go around. And when I say there's not enough of it to go around, just look. Approximately 450 Bitcoins are mined each day. MicroStrategy bought 4,020 just in one day. 450 mined each day. And this is not even the crazy of it, right? Because we still have other states that are pending some bills. And if those bills are passed, what's going to happen? And then when all these other countries and all these other millionaires see what's happening, why is everyone clamoring for this Bitcoin? What is this Bitcoin? As soon as it hits the news that Bitcoin hits an all-new-time high, then you start getting your relatives asking you about it. That's when we're going to see real price discovery for Bitcoin. So the news is good now, but it's only going to get better. And I'm just excited. I hope you guys are too. Thank you for riding with me throughout these years, DCAing into Bitcoin. Right now, we're really seeing what's happening. And altcoin season, let's not even get into that. But right now, it's all about Bitcoin. And it's just literally time to shine. So let's see what news we get from Bitcoin Week. I'm excited again. Thank you for spending your time with me. And until next time, bye.